Hey everyone, welcome back to another SAT math video. This question is from the SAT practice test from 2024, practice bundle 6, module 2, question 26. The scatter plot shows the relationship between two variables, x and y, for dataset E. A line of best fit is shown. Dataset F is created by multiplying the y-coordinate of each data point from the dataset E by 3.9. Which of the following could be an equation of a line of best fit for dataset F? So this question has a lot of information and it can be very easy to get intimidated and confused because that's what the SAT tries to do. They try to confuse you. So they mentioned two data sets. I don't know which one it is. So let's try and go back and see which data set is actually represented in this line, right? We know now that the relationship is for data set E, right? So that means this line is the line of best fit for data set E. Okay, what else can we see in this graph, right? Let's see what we just know. Okay, well, we notice that the tick marks are different, right? They have two different scales. On the X, we go up to 20, and for Y, we go up to 50. So it's usually good practice to see by what increment these tick marks go up because it'll just make our life easier later on. So we know that, okay, if we have one tick mark and two tick marks, at the second tick mark, we get 4. So that means that this one is in between 0 and 4, which would mean it is 2, right? Does that make sense? So we have 2, and we can see this would be 2, 4, this would be 6, then we have 8, this would be 10, this would be 14, etc., right? So you get the idea. Now we can do the same for the y-axis, right? Notice that at the second tick mark, we have the value 10. So that means this first tick mark must be what? Must be 5, right? Basically, I just counted up to 10 and divided by the number of tick marks, right? So 10 divided by 2 is 5. That means each tick mark is 5, right? So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, all the way up, right? So now let's kind of take a look at it. I like to just pause now, and for these multiple choice questions, it's really helpful to try and eliminate answers as soon as possible, right? And if you notice here, all these answers are given to us in a particular format, right? What that format is slope intercept form, right? We have all of these in slope-intercept form, otherwise known as y equals mx plus b, except they just switched it around. They just switched m and b on to the other sides, but it's the same form, right? So we know that this is the line of best fit for E, right? And that in slope-intercept form, the b term will always represent the point at which the line intersects the y-axis, right? So over here we can see the line intersects right around in between 10 and 15, maybe 13, maybe 12, right? So you might think, oh, maybe the answer is one of these two. But again, remember the SAT likes to trick you, right? So remember, we need to find the line of best fit not for E, but for F, right? We need to find it for F. Now, remember, F is basically, when they say multiplying the y-coordinate of each data point by 3.9, it basically means just multiplying the equation, y equals mx plus b, or the equation of this line, E, by 3.9, right? It's basically the same thing. Don't let the y-coordinate part confuse you. You're just basically multiplying the entire equation by 3, right? And we'll get into that a little bit later. But back to this line, if we know, and eliminating the answer choices, right? If we know that line E has a intercept of probably 12 or 13, we know that instantly that these two answers cannot be it, right? We know that these two answers would be wrong, right? Because these would be closer to the line of E, and we are trying to find the line of F, right? So we now know, okay, these two answers are definitely wrong, right? So now what we need to do is basically find out of these two, which is more likely to be the line for f, right? So to do that, we first need to figure out the slope of line E and then multiply it by 3.9, right? Because remember, line f is nothing more than the equation of line E multiplied by 3.9, okay? So let me move the screen over and we'll get started. Got some more space now, so let's try and figure out the slope of line E, right? When you have scatter plots like this, the best thing to do is just find a point along the line where it nicely crosses the intersection in a grid, right? What I mean by that is like this point right here would be a good one because we know we have two distinct tick marks that we could use to calculate the slope, right? So there's an easy one. Just make it easy. I wouldn't try and do like a point right here. Then you're just going to be having to estimate and it just gets a lot harder. But if you're up for the challenge, that's fine. But when I take the SAT, I like to try and do things quick and easy. All right. So there's one point we can use. And let's see, there is maybe another point right here, right? So let's use these 2 points to calculate the slope, right? Remember, slope is nothing more than, I'm just going to write slope as m. Slope is nothing more than rise over run, right? And we need to basically now use the 2 points we have to calculate this slope, all right? So another way to write slope is basically to write it as m equals 2 minus y1 over over x2 minus x1, right? So now let's just plug in these 2 points, all right? So I always like to use the bigger point as my y2 and x2, and then the smaller point as the y1, x2. It just makes it easier. You don't have to deal with any weird negative numbers or anything like that. So let's look at y2. y2 would be, this would be our point 2, so y2 would be 40. Okay. Now let's figure out what y1 would be. So again, looking at the y-axis, let's find our second point. y1 is at 15. Okay, so that's the rise part. Over run now, so let's look at x2. x2 would be, remember this is incrementing by 2, so this would be 2 more than 16 is 18. 18. And now let's look at x1. So x1 is easy, right on 2, right? So now you can use your calculator to calculate this, or you can do it in your head. 40 minus 15, that's going to be, let's see, borrow 1, that's going to be 3, 10, that's going to be 5 in the units place. Then we're going to do 3 minus 1. That's going to give us 25. I don't know. Maybe that's right. Maybe that's not right. Double check with your calculator. Now 18 minus 2, that I can do easy. That's going to be 16, right? So we know our slope is going to be 25 over 16. This doesn't simplify nicely. I'm just going to plug it into the calculator and make it a decimal. Turns out to be approximately 1.5, right? So we can say this is going to be 1.5 after using the calculator. Now again, this is the slope for line E, right? Remember, f is basically the function of E times 3.9, right? Meaning the slope of f, right? So let's just say m of f is equal to slope of E times 3.9 is 1.5 times 3.9. And again, we calculator here, and that will give us a total of approximately about 6, right? So Let's see, of these two answers, which one is closer to 6? A seems like the one, so we know now that B is not our answer, and we are left with the answer of A. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something. Let me know if there's any way I can improve and if something wasn't clear. Again, always check out Khan Academy. You can basically get the exact same content for free and customize lesson plans, all that good stuff. Hopefully this was helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.